Right now, as you watch this, 24 thrones are being prepared, and you may be destined to occupy one of them. For 2,000 years, a prophecy has remained sealed. It speaks of ordinary saints, people like you, who will be given authority over entire nations. But there's a secret the churches don't want you to know, a hidden criterion that determines who will be chosen and who will be left behind. In the next few minutes, you'll find out if your name is on the list of Earth's future rulers. But before we reveal this ancient mystery, I need you to take an action that separates the true candidates for leadership from the mere passive spectators. If you have the courage to claim your place among the chosen, prove your resolve now. Hit like to activate your candidacy and subscribe to this channel, because only those who demonstrate initiative will receive the upcoming prophetic revelations that can confirm their calling. What if I told you there is a secret plan as old as eternity itself, so powerful that kings and emperors trembled at the mere whispers? What if you discovered that you, yes, you who are watching now, could be at the center of this plan? That your seemingly ordinary life could be being prepared for something extraordinary? For centuries, dynasties have risen and fallen. Empires have conquered the world and turned to dust. But there is a kingdom that has never been conquered, a government that has never failed, and its future leaders are being chosen now. The question that will torment your mind for the next 60 minutes is this: are you being tested? Your trials, your struggles, your most difficult moments, could they be training for something much greater? There is a biblical passage that pastors avoid discussing. In Revelation chapter 4, verse 4, John has a vision that would forever change our understanding of the future of humanity. He sees 24 thrones around the throne of God, and upon them, 24 crowned elders. But here's what most don't realize. These elders are not angels. They are glorified human beings. They are saints who have been elevated to the position of cosmic rulership. But the revelation doesn't stop there. In Revelation 2, verses 26 and 27, Jesus makes a promise that should make your heart race. To him who overcomes and keeps my works until the end, I will give authority over the nations. He will rule them with a rod of iron, and he will dash them to pieces like pottery. Did you understand what he said? Authority over nations, not over a small group, not over a local church, over whole nations, with a rod of iron. This isn't symbolic language, my friend. This is the description of a real, tangible, absolute government. Why then has this truth been buried? Why do pastors talk about heaven as a place of harps and clouds, when the Bible clearly describes an earthly government led by saints? The answer will shock you, because recognizing this truth would change everything. It would change how you live, how you prepare, how you approach every challenge in your life. Traditional religion prefers to keep you passive, waiting for a distant paradise. But prophetic truth declares that you may be being prepared to exercise royal authority over cities, regions, even entire countries. But here's what will shock you. This prophecy doesn't speak of a distant future. It speaks of now. Daniel 7:22 says, "Until the Ancient of Days came and administered justice to the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom." The time has come. Preparations have already begun in the spiritual realm. Not all saints will rule. There is a hidden code that determines who will be chosen, and it is hidden in one of Jesus' most overlooked statements. In Luke 16, verses 10 to 12, he reveals the supreme principle: whoever is faithful in a very little is faithful also in much, and whoever is unjust in a very little is unjust also in much. If then you have not been faithful in the handling of the unrighteous mammon, who will entrust you with the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in what is another's, who will give you what is your own? This is the secret criterion. God doesn't choose rulers based on how loud you can shout hallelujah, or how many times a week you go to church. He watches how you manage what little you have, how you treat the money you have, how you relate to authority, how you manage the relationships he has placed under your care, your current financial situation, your relationship with authority, the way you treat insignificant people. All of this is being observed and recorded. Every decision you make with limited resources is a test of infinite resources. Every person you lead well is preparation for leading multitudes. There are 7 specific signs that you are being prepared for divine leadership. First, You are constantly tested financially, and God observes your reactions. Second, you are placed in positions where you must choose between justice and expediency. Third, you experience betrayals that test your ability to forgive without becoming bitter. Fourth, you are given limited authority, and God watches how you exercise it. Fifth, you face intense opposition when you try to do what is right. Sixth, you feel a growing dissatisfaction with spiritual superficialities. Seventh, you have recurring dreams or visions about leadership, government, or authority. If you've recognized more than 3 of these signs in your life, stop and pay attention. You may be in the midst of a divine qualification process that most people don't even realize exists. Let me tell you about Maria, a 45-year-old cleaning lady who worked in a corporate office. For years she was overlooked, disrespected, and treated as if invisible. But Maria had a secret. She prayed for every executive in that building. She knew their family names, their personal problems, their crises. One day, an audit revealed a massive fraud that could destroy thousands of jobs. The scheme was uncovered because Maria had the courage to report irregularities that only she, in her insignificant position, could see. Today, 10 years later, Maria is the director of corporate ethics for a multinational company, responsible for policies affecting 50,000 employees in 12 countries. She discovered that her lowly cleaning lady role was actually training for government. God placed her in the lowest position in the building so she could observe everything and be tested for her faithfulness when no one was looking. This is the divine strategy. He hides future rulers in unlikely places and tests them when they think no one is paying attention. While you live your normal life, some are already exercising spiritual authority over entire cities. Have you ever stopped to think why certain people seem to have an inexplicable influence? Why some intercessors can pray and change the course of political, economic, and social situations? The truth is that spiritual government already operates in the invisible. There is a heavenly hierarchy of authority, and some saints have already been strategically positioned to influence the destinies of nations through intercession and spiritual warfare. Daniel 10 reveals to us that the spiritual battles we wage on earth directly affect the principalities that govern entire regions. When Daniel prayed, his prayer mobilized Michael, the archangel, for a war that would determine the future of empires. His individual prayer had geopolitical consequences. This is not mysticism. It's God's established protocol for governing the earth through partnership with human beings. And some saints have already discovered this. They pray with authority because they know they have been positioned to exert real influence over specific territories. Right now, decisions are being made in the spiritual realm that will determine the future of millions. And some of these decisions are in your hands. Your prayer can trigger governmental changes. Your obedience can alter public policies. Your fasting can topple strongholds that oppress entire nations. But here's the most shocking revelation. The training isn't for the future, it's for now. You're not being prepared to rule someday. You're being prepared to discover that you already have more spiritual authority than you realize. There is a test every future ruler must pass, and you may be in the midst of it right now without even realizing it. Divine tests don't come with warnings. They disguise themselves as crises, betrayals, financial losses, health problems, relationship conflicts. But for those with eyes to see, each trial is actually a final exam in disguise. There are 5 specific types of tests God gives to future leaders. The first is the test of solitary integrity. Will you do the right thing even when no one is watching and no one will find out if you do otherwise? The second is the test of unjust perseverance. Will you continue doing good even when punished for it? The third is the test of limited power. When you receive a modicum of authority, will you become corrupt or use it to serve others? The fourth is the test of intimate betrayal. When those close to you betray you, will you become bitter and vengeful, or will you remain pure of heart? The fifth is the test of anonymity. Will you continue to serve faithfully even when your work is unrecognized or unrewarded? Joseph passed all these tests, sold by his own brothers, falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, forgotten in prison by the cupbearer who promised to remember him. Every injustice he suffered was actually a test, and when he finally came to power, he didn't use his authority for revenge. He used it to save the very people who had betrayed him. That betrayal that nearly destroyed you. That financial loss that left you desperate. That illness that made you question everything. What if I told you that was your final exam? What if your greatest defeats were actually your greatest qualifications? Paul said in 2 Corinthians 4:17, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Suffering is not punishment. It is qualification. David was anointed king at age 15, but didn't assume the throne until he was 30. 15 years of persecution, betrayal, exile, living in caves, fleeing from Saul. Why did God allow this? Because being anointed is not the same as being qualified. The anointing identifies you, but suffering prepares you. Every moment you chose to forgive rather than seek revenge, every time you maintained your integrity despite missed opportunities, every instance in which you served faithfully without receiving recognition, all of this was recorded as qualifications for greater authority. If you pass the tests, now you need to know how to prepare to receive authority. There is a vast difference between a servant's mindset and a ruler's mindset, and most Christians never make this transition. There are 7 non-negotiable qualities that every godly ruler must develop. First, kingdom vision. You must stop thinking small and start dreaming about the impact you can have on multitudes. Second, territorial responsibility. You must understand that you are responsible for the well-being of everyone within your sphere of influence. Third, uncompromising justice. You must be willing to do the right thing even when it harms you personally. Fourth, administrative wisdom. You must learn to manage resources, people, and processes with excellence. Fifth, a fatherly heart. You must genuinely care more about the success of those you lead than your own. Sixth, prophetic courage. You must be willing to speak difficult truths even when it is unpopular. Seventh, supernatural humility. You must constantly remember that your authority comes from God and can be removed at any time. From today on, every decision you make will prepare you to rule millions. Every person you interact with can be a test in disguise. Every conflict you resolve can be training to mediate disputes between nations. Stop seeing your current life as a waiting period. Start seeing it as a real training ground. Your current job can be your preparation to manage an entire country's resources. Your difficult relationships can be training to deal with complex personalities in international contexts. Your financial difficulties can be preparation to manage government budgets. The heavenly protocol for exercising authority is simple yet revolutionary. Authority comes through service. Power is manifested through love. And leadership is demonstrated through sacrifice. The more you serve, the more authority you receive. The more you love, the more power you manifest. The more you sacrifice, the more effective your leadership will be. The day will come when the chosen ones will be publicly revealed. And that day may be closer than you think. All prophetic signs point to a time of unprecedented global transition. Government systems are failing worldwide. Traditional leaders are losing credibility. Established power structures are crumbling. And in the midst of the chaos, a new order is emerging, one led by people who have been secretly prepared by God. Romans 8:19 says, "The creation waits in eager expectation for the sons of God to be revealed." All creation is in suspense, waiting for the moment when those who have been prepared in secret will be publicly revealed. When this happens, it won't be through traditional elections or political coups. It will be through a supernatural display of wisdom, integrity, and power that will cause multitudes to naturally recognize divine authority. People who have never heard your name will begin to seek your leadership. Failing governments will seek your wisdom. Nations in crisis will plead for your intervention. But there is a crucial question you must face. What will happen to those who were not chosen? The answer is both merciful and solemn. They will continue to be loved by God. They will continue to be saved. They will continue to have a place in the kingdom. But they will lose the unique opportunity to participate in Earth's millennial rule. It's like a contest with millions of entrants, but only a few hundred available positions. All participants are qualified, but not all can be chosen. The difference lies in the details. Who prepared most intensely? Who was most faithful in the tests? who best developed the necessary qualities. The burning question, when that happens, will you be ready? Or will you discover you wasted your only chance? You've reached the end of this revelation, but your journey is just beginning. For 60 minutes, you've been exposed to truths that could change the course of eternity for you. Now you have a choice. You can close this video, go back to your normal life, and pretend none of this matters. Or you can accept that maybe, just maybe, you are one of the chosen. If something inside you stirred during these minutes, if a flame was lit in your spirit, if you sensed this is no coincidence, then don't ignore this call. Because somewhere in the universe, there may be a throne with your name engraved on it. The only question that remains is, are you willing to pay the price to occupy it? Your journey to the throne begins now.